Watch Commander Julian Hailstorm sits behind a massive desk in his Spartan office. The room contains no furnishing beyond the commander's desk and chair, a stand for his armor, and a rack on the wall holding his sword and a holstered cannon. Hailstorm's desk is covered with papers, each sheet representing another problem for the Corvus City Watch. His weathered face creases with a mix of worry and irritation as he reads the report delivered to him earlier in the day. A report filled with his disturbing evidence that crime is on the rise in the city. A knock at the door causes Hailstorm to look up from the report. "Enter," he says. A uniformed watch sergeant steps into the room. "Sir, the mercenaries you requested have arrived." Hailstorm nods. "Send them in, Sergeant Avers," he says, setting aside the report. "Sir, Sergeant Avers begins and then trails off. "Sergeant, I'm aware on your view on mercenaries," Hailstorm says, exasperation coloring the gruff monotone of his voice. "If you can somehow conjure up another 30 able-bodied watchmen, I'd be happy to put them to work instead. Until then, I don't want to hear another word." "Yes, sir," Avers says. He snaps off a crisp salute, turns, and leaves the room. Seconds later, the doorway to Hailstorm's office is filled with a massive armored figure. Gardic Stormbrow has to turn sideways to fit in his bulk through. The Trollkin mercenary seems a construct made of steel and scars, and his reputation as a fearless warrior bounty hunter are well known to the Hailstorms and the entire City Watch. "Gardic," Hailstorm says in greeting. "Commander," Gardic rumbles in reply. Behind the Trollkin comes another figure Hailstorm recognizes, Bastion Kinnet, a devoted Morrowind battle chaplain, heavy-plated with his belted book for the devotee of the warring faith and, of particular note to Hailstorm, a sometime zealot. "Seems the watch can't get enough of us, eh, Gardic?" Bastion says, looking up to his friend. "What can the Black River Irregulars do for you today, Commander?" The mercenary group to which he and Gardic belong has had a history of cooperation with the City Watch. "Where are Colby and Ilash?" Hailstorm asks. "The founder of the Black River Irregulars and her right-hand man are conspicuously absent." "Busy," Gardic says. "Bastion and I can handle whatever you need. Colby only sent you two?" "Not exactly," Bastion says, as the two figures enter the room, and Hailstorm's ever-present concern deepens. He recognizes the two, as they are well known to the Watch, as able mercenaries, Skarg the Voracious, a Tharn archer, and Lanisa Riesel, a Nice Ice sorceress, both known for their cunning and merciless slayings. "I was unaware a Tharn had joined the Black River Irregulars," Hailstorm says fearfully. "Hope we can remain civil." Skarg and Lanisa glare back at Hailstorm in silence. "Enough with the idle chat," Gardic says. The room fell silent from that moment. Hailstorm draws a deep breath. "Very well," he says. "If Colby sent you, then she must believe you can do the job." "We can handle it, Commander," Bastion says. "Tell us what you need. Colby only said you want us to look into a smuggling operation." "That's the start of it. Anyway," Hailstorm says, "there's been a sharp increase in crime in the city, particularly crimes involving gangs. The smuggling operation we've uncovered is part of that." "Why do you need us?" Lanisa asks. "You have the whole City Watch on your disposal." "Because some of your former compatriots are keeping my men very busy, Lanisa," Hailstorm said. "The simple answer is I'm short on personnel." Lanisa shrugs. "Fair enough. Give us the details, Commander," Gardic says. "We have reports of specialized alchemic materials and equipment entering the city through the swamp," Hailstorm says, "likely coming up the river from Ternon Crag." "That's not exactly uncommon," Scout says, and then catches himself. "I mean, from what I hear." "You're right," Hailstorm says. but apparently these materials aren't what you'd use for making alchemic weapons, or that sort of thing. They seem to be harmless, and we can't find any evidence of them being sold here. They enter the city, and then they just disappear. Okay, that's odd, says Scarlet. That stuff is valuable and easy to sell, or so I hear. Where is it going, then? Garlic says. Lanisa, have you heard anything from the guild community in Corvus? Lanisa shrugs again. Nope, and that's the kind of thing you'd hear about. Well, you're not going to get to the bottom of this standing here in my office, Hellstrom says. But I am not turning you loose without any leaves. For a change, Scout mutters. Hellstrom ignores the jab and continues. I've managed to get an agent into one of the smuggling ring's operations out of the Undercity. He contacted me yesterday, and he says he has vital information. That's something, at least, Garlic says. Is he coming in? No, too dangerous, Hellstrom says. If he tried to contact the Watch on his own, he'd be found out. I need you to collect him for me and bring him in safely. Sounds simple enough, Lanisa says. Where do we meet him? Here's the location, Hellstrom says, holding out a slip of paper. It's in the part of the Undercity even the Watch avoid, so please be cautious. Garlic steps forward and takes the paper. He hands it to Skald, and it disappears into one of his many pouches. Okay, we'll get your man, Commander. Garlic says, Skald knows the Undercity better than anyone I've worked with. Skald nods. He's right. I can get us through the rough parts without anyone noticing. And how ice anyone who does notice, Lanisa says. Let's keep the bloodletting to a minimum, Hellstrom says, and shakes his head. Whew. The Watch has enough problems as it is. You're working for the law now, remember. We'll do our best, Bastion says. All right. We're on the job, Commander, Garlic says. Black River irregulars, fall out. Moral above, you make more racket than a herd of buffalo, Lanisa says, and raps a fist against the imposing armored battle-ready chaplain, trundling along beside her. Really? Bastion says, eyeing his friend. I try to keep as quiet as I can. Bastion walks alongside his longtime friend, Lanisa, whom always has something to say about him. His plated footfalls echo against the crumbling stone of the passageway that stretches ahead into darkness. The quietest hurricane is still a hurricane, Bastion, Skark says with a smirk. Still better to have you, old zealot, with us in case Hellstrom's agent has drawn unwanted attention. How far until we reach the rendezvous point, Garlic says, glancing back at Skark. The big trollkin walks ahead of others, his axe balanced across one armored shoulder. This old sewer tunnel should connect to the warren in about half a mile. Skark says, referring to the infamous part of the Undercity where they are to meet Hellstrom's agent. Right, weapons out, Garlic says, readying his axe. We don't know what might be waiting for us. Aye, Captain, Skark says, and pulls an arrow from his quiver. Lanisa's claymore appears in her left hand, almost as if she conjured it from thin air, and she readies her glowing bluish right hand for a possible icy spell. Holy fire of Morrowind, Bastion says, and readies two-handed heavy bludgeon mace in his armored hands. The Black River regulars move slowly down to the dark tunnel with Garlic and Skarg in the lead. Skarg lights up an arrow of thorn that is dim with a subtle glow. The tunnel stretches ahead and fades into impenetrable darkness, but after a few minutes, a soft glow becomes visible. In the distance, a tiny mode of illumination in the oppressive subterranean gloom. Light ahead, Garlic says. Let's hope that's our man. A single sharp report rings out. Garlic stops and raises his weapon. The rest of Black River regulars follow suit. Freezing bolt, Lanisa says. Garlic opens his mouth to reply, but before he can speak, a scream echoes through the tunnel. It fades quickly. And Garlic says one word. Go! The mercenaries break into a run, pounding down the tunnel, all thoughts of stealth forgotten. The tunnel takes a sharp turn to the right, and then widens into a space where a number of ramshackle buildings have been erected. Lamps hanging from the makeshift posts cast a dim yellow light over the area. Standing next to one of the buildings is a group of men in piecemeal armor with weapons drawn. One holds a heavy warhammer and is pinning a man in a long black coat to the ground with his boot. So we finally know why the heroes are here in the Undercity tunnels, as they're here set forth looking for the agent that the City Watch commander has sent them forth to find. We do not know if he's alive or dead. All we know that he's here, and we must come to this location and then take another different action before the story event takes to the next stage. So before we begin, let me explain that Lanisa Rizal with the highest initiative, which is 19, will be the first to take action, while Garlic Stonebro will be the last of the 4 heroes to take action because his initiative is the lowest 3. Now before every round begins, there is an event that takes place, and this event will take precedence and affect everything that happens within the board. So let us begin with the first event in Chapter 1, Body Evidence, Fog Bank. It says that it's an environment, which means it's a permanent effect on the board until another environment replaces it. All characters gain +1 defense against range attacks, and blue takes priority. I'll explain that if ever it occurs a situation of why that will decide anything within the gameplay. Now, the way the phases go to play the game for every turn of a player hero is you got the spawning, the activation, and the villain. In the spawning, you'll spawn a new villain on the board. So hereforth, you'll see how the heroes, as they venture, new villains spawn on the board. Then happens the activation, which is the action that the heroes will take place on the board. And then finally, the villain action, which is based on the effect of what the card says, of which villain will take action first that will occur. So let us begin with the first phase, which is the spawning phase in Lanisa's turn. So she's the first one to take action, and she's right here, this awesome hero, and she's going to roll. And don't forget that the yellow dice represents the type of villain that will spawn. The green dice will always represent the spawning points, which at this point in Chapter 1, there's only 2 spawning points. So it's a 2 and a 6. So we will have another sword thug appear, and he will appear right beside the crossbow thug. Now Lanisa can begin her action, and what she will do is charge here. You know what? She will charge right here. Okay. And she could do that because there is no walls or anything obstructions in her way. So when she steps out here, 1, 2, charging, you could do up to 2 spaces and have an attack melee only. And it happens to be so, other than her being an amazing sorceress, she knows how to melee too, for she carries the Nice Claymore. Alright, so aside from that, now she finishes her turn. She will use one of her feats, which is always good to use. Before the end of the turn, she always gets a new feat, so it's always good to use one. And she's going to use this one, Untouchable. Play this card to gain +2 defense for this turn. So we'll put it right there just as a reminder that she has +2 defense, you know, until the end of this turn. Okay, so Now that she's taken her action and she stands there and she's contemplating about going into this passageway, for she senses something is there, and there happens to be something there. As you know, there's a side quest. Now the villains will take their action and you take up a villain action card. You spin it around, and here fourth is the close combat. Activate the villain closest to you. All right. So 1, 2, kind of 2, because there's an obstruction, so one can argue it's 1, 2, 3, but let's say it's 1, 2, and 1, 2, but we would say this is the closest villain area. So which villain of this, because it's a villain, usually we say villains to activate, so one villain takes, pretty much activates, and we'll say this Thor Thug who notices her is the first one and the quick one to take action. And the way it works is as follows. First, it will look if you could do melee where it stands, and that's not the case. How much you wish they fight amongst themselves. Second action is he can rush and do melee, and in this case he could, for he can up to 2 spaces and then pretty much do the melee combat. So let's see, and it's confirmed. The villain moves up to 2 spaces and ends his movement in a target hero space. After moving, the villain attacks the hero with each of his melee weapons. The damage roll for the first attack is boosted. Alright, so he attacks with his amazing sword. Sneaky sword. And the charge comes. Lenisa notices him. She pushes back. She has defense +2, don't forget. Let's roll. And because the first attack is boosted, alright, and that's only for the accuracy, it's like an insurance to hit. Accuracy, there's 2 types of rolls, accuracy and power. Accuracy is just to show that you hit the target. The power roll is to say that you damaged. And it kind of makes sense. Think of it this way. I won't explain this again later, so just notice it. Imagine you're able to strike the foe, but not necessarily sometimes always damage them. So let's hope she's well armored. So 4, 2, and 1. Not the greatest rolls, I would say. That is a total of 7, my friends. And 7 is not enough because her defense with a +2 defense is 15. So she well guarded, and pretty much nothing more will happen, because if she kicked this dagger and she maneuvered, ain't nothing hitting this girl. So now that the villain action was taking place, the next character is the one to take action. And the next one is Skarg the Voracious with initiative 8, and he is a Tharn archer. He is the next one to take action. As he sees what's happening to Lenisa, with big worry, he snarls, and before he can move, he notices something across the board. And what he notices is a crossbow thug appear not too distant away. Now he will begin his turn in action, but before that, one must always know that there's a limitation of how many characters in total there can be within 1 square. As you can see, it's 1 square tiles, and that is 7 characters. Large creatures are considered as 2. Alright, so in this case, everything is fine, and there's 3 over there, 3 over here, 1 over here, 1 over here. Let Skarg take his action. The first thing he's going to do is going to move. And once he moves, he will then decide to enable his archery skill, which is roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage roll this turn, and drop the lowest die. Okay, so this is pretty good. So that's what he's going to do. So for you to know, the defense is, instead of the 12 ordinary for the sword thug, because of the +1, because there's a fog and mist across the board, it's +1, and there's 13 defense. Okay, 6 + 1 is 7, and 7 + 5 is not enough, and pretty much misses by 1 and is unable to hit this sword thug. So now what will happen is, okay, instead he's going to look for the feat cards, and on the feat cards allows him to play this card to reroll any number of dice from one of your attacks or stat challenges. So he's going to use this card to pretty much allow him to reroll any number of dice. So pretty much he's going to reroll this 2 dices. And it was a good decision because this is 6 plus 6 is 12. We don't need that. 6 plus 6 is 12. And plus with the accuracy of 5, that's 17. That means he hit the target. Now we must roll for damage. And because of his skill, like I said, precise shot allows him to roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage roll this turn. So, and drop the lowest die. So that means he can reroll with the 3 dices. And wow, is this pitiful. Okay, so this is 2, 1, 2. This is 5. Okay, and the sword thug's armor is 12. So 8 plus 5 is 13. It's a hit. It's a hit. And it has 1 vitality, and the sword thug drops and dies off. Returns to the board, and 1 XP thanks to Skarg, who saved his longtime friend Lanisa from the Black River Irregulars mercenary group. This allows him to pretty much end his turn, and he successfully attacked and removed that sword thug from the board, and he got 1 XP. And because end of turn, which I didn't do for Lanisa, and I didn't do for Skarg, which I'm going to do right now, I'm going to give them 1 new feat. Alright. And now moving right on is the villain action. So let's see what's the villain action. Remote rumble. Activate the villain farthest from you. Okay. Alright, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'll say those are the furthest in my opinion. So, and it says a villain. Activate the villain farthest from you. So one of them pretty much activates. And you know what? Let's bring this one. But before that, let's see their actions. So the first action, let's see on their card. So this one says set shot. Basically, they hold and they try to shoot you down. Their range is 2. It's not happening. Okay? So the next one says pretty much they do a range attack, but they're going to try to move in range with you. So they're going to move really like 1 space and try to shoot at you. And in this case, they could. Okay? So they'll activate. Okay? They'll activate right here. And they will try to take a shot. And the only reach they could do in this case is if the target hero is within range, the villain attacks the hero with each of his ranged weapons. If the target hero is out of range by only 1 space, the villain walks toward the target hero and attacks with each of his ranged weapons. So he will come here, he will attack Lanisa, and it's a ranged attack, don't forget. And Lanisa will get a +1 to her defense, which is already 13. It will become 14 because of the fog. And he, with the crossbow, will try to shoot her. So his accuracy is 4. So 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. And 13, it's a 14, her defense against range. It misses. So it's 2 misses. Whew. We've been dodging. These heroes are really maneuvering and dodging and all around the tunnels. They're really moving fast and trying to get to the point, which is right here. Don't forget, it's very, very important. We have a timer, and the timer is the event cards. So if it runs out, it's pretty much game over. Doesn't matter how many slaughters we did. So now that we did that, it is the next turn, and from all of them is Bastion Kinnet. As he sees everyone on the move, Lanisa and Skarg, he worries as a Morrowind battle champion. He praises them with his holy strength and might. And now before he takes his turn, he will also realize something coming forth. 5/5. So this is now, in this case, as you could see here, the precedence because of the event card is the blue, because there's two. Which one do you choose here, the red or the blue? And you will choose the blue because of the fog bank. You see the color gives you precedence of which one to choose in case you're confused. And now also this one will come here. It seems like a lot of them like to come from the distance. All right. So now that we did that, Bastion will come forward and he will charge forward. All right. So now that he did that, pretty much the villain will take action. And the villain is active with the villain closest to you. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. So which one would it be? So you know what? He's going to activate. All right. And he's going to charge forward because he sees them coming. And he's going to try to hinder their passageway. So he's going to come step forward. And by taking that action, his roll die will be boosted. So he will roll 3 dice instead of the usual 2. And more importantly, he will also use his accuracy now. And his accuracy is right here, 4. And don't forget, he couldn't do the melee because nobody was in his vicinity, right? So the villain holds and attacks the target hero in his space with each of his melee weapons, which he cannot do. And then he can only do the charge right here. And that's what he's, the rush, I mean. And that's what he's going to do. And pretty much on this boosted attack, 6 plus 5 is 11. 11 plus 4 is 15. And Bastion's defense is 12. So that's a sure hit. Now that the attack was boosted and you know the fact that it was hit, and don't forget, only the attack was boosted, so that means the damage roll is not boosted. So it's very important to notice the villain moves up to 2 spaces and ends his movement in the target hero space. After moving, the villain attacks the hero with each of his melee weapons. The damage roll for the first attack is boosted. So my mistake. So the hero with each of his melee weapons, and then the damage roll is boosted. So it's not his attack roll that's boosted. So he's going to have to re-roll, sadly. It's his damage roll that's boosted based on here. So let's do that roll again. 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. And that's not good enough to pretty much hit Bastion, whose defense is 12. All right. Now that he did his turn, the final and last one to take action is Gardic Stormbra. He's being the leader of the group, and also with his ferocity, he sees what's going on, and he's ready to leap forward with his mad axe. And before he does that, he also notices something is amiss as he rolls 3-3. This is sees a sword thug from a distance, and he decides to take his forward. He's gonna, because he's melee, it only makes sense, he will charge forward and attack this sword thug. Now, because he did that, his attack is boosted. Only your damage roll is boosted, so this is 8. Don't forget he attacks with both of his melee weapons. Okay, so This one is, well, he only needs one of them. His accuracy is 6. So 8 plus 6 is 14. And it's the sword thug that he's confronting. So pretty much it's 12, the defense. He for sure hit. Now his boosted damage roll is 8, 9. 9 plus 9, that's 18. It's a sure hit. Alright. Got clobbered by that giant trollkin. Alright. And he will obviously add 1 XP for what he has done. Now that he has done that, so pretty much he completed his turn, and he's going to pretty much move forward, and he has that 1 defense. Don't forget for this turn, and this round, and he pretty much ends this round. But before anything proceeds, all right, let's see what happens. Azure Assault. Activate up to 2 blue villains closest to you. If there are no blue villains in play, activate one of the villains closest to the player to the left. Okay. Alright. Okay, so 2 blue villains closest to you. 1, 2. Okay. And 1, 2. So these 2 villains will react. So he will be the first one to take action. This one against Gardic, Stonebrow. And the crossbow thug will activate first. So what he will do is... He will shoot. Don't forget the defense is +1 because of the fog. Current defense, we decided to increase his defense anyways. Okay. And so his defense will be, instead of the usual 11, it will be 13. Now, because this villain, look at this, the way its priorities work when it goes into attack mode or battle mode. So he has set shot. Set shot says the villain holds and attacks the target hero with an aimed range attack. But aimed attacks are boosting only the attack roll. So 6 plus 5 plus 4. Oh, it's a hit. Gardic's armor got struck. But now let's see if it got damaged. Okay. So you roll the 2 dices. The crossbow's power is 8. And Gardic's armor is 15. So 5 plus 8 is 13. You miss. Seems like the foes are really, not really picking it up against these heroic heroes, So now this sword thug is contemplating on what to do. And as he sees the crossbow thug shoot up, it decides to charge forward before it could do that. Because 1 and 2, and it's going to attack Gardic. And its attack is boosted. Okay. So in this case, again, just as a reminder, after moving, the villain attacks the hero with each of his melee weapons. The damage roll of the first attack is boosted. For the first attack is boosted. So the damage roll is boosted. That means not the attack. And at this point, his accuracy is 4. So 3 plus 4. I won't even bother looking at the defense. He defended. And at this point, because don't forget Gardic's defense is 12 because he gets the +1 because of his great strength skill. So now this round ends, and it ends in pretty much in a stealth mode. There's still villains over there, villains here, but we're slowly clearing it up, and we must push there. So now this villain remains there. The heroes are here. Let's see what's going to happen as the next event takes effect. ambushers. Place 2 crossbow thugs and a sword thug at a random passage. So that means 3 villains just spawn. So 2 crossbow thugs. Oh boy. We'll put him here. Alright. And a sword thug. We will go and put the sword thug right here. Alright. This wasn't a nice event. Now, this event is different from this event. Don't forget this is an environment fog bank event. Only an environment can remove this event. So this event will pretty much get discarded right here. Okay, I don't know if you notice it, but here, let me put it right here. This event is right here, which is different. And we pretty much put it at random passages. I don't think I pretty much was thinking about where what is right or what's better for them. So now that we did that, Lanisa Rizal will begin, and she sees the ambush is just building up, and she contemplates, should she go there or here and help her teammate? And you know what? She, as much as contemplating, she thinks she should go down the tunnels and see what is afoot there, because her heroic friends are not in a bad setting. So she goes and advances. She charges, but before that, she realizes from her left eye that things haven't got any better for the team, because there's a spawn. 1 and 2. So 1. Now, color priority will take effect because of that event. And it's going to be a red one. Alright. And it's 2. So it's going to spawn right here. Now that that occurred, okay, the next thing is Lanisa takes her action, and she will just charge forward. But let's see, before she charges forward, because she can walk at least forward, let's see if she could do anything from her spells from a distance. Okay, she's going to do... Ice Ball is a ranged attack spell with range 1. Accuracy 6, power 9. If the target is hit and you roll the same number on the 2 dice in the attack roll, the target becomes knocked down. So let's see. So she's going to attack with the Ice Bolt. Lanisa will decide to do that. As she sees the foe tackling Gardek, and she decides to use her Ice Bolt, which is accuracy 6, range 1, which will come here. Because it's a ranged attack, alright, and it's a ranged attack, there will still be +1 defense against ranged attacks. So this Sword Thug will have a defense of 13, alright. This attack has an accuracy of 6, alright. Let's roll. 4 plus 2 is 6. So it's not going to be a hit because 6 plus 6 is just 12, and his defense is 13. So what we're going to do is we're going to re-roll and hope 6 plus 2 is 8, okay? And 8 plus 6 is 14, which is pretty much a solid hit in my opinion. And now she can roll for the attack, which is the power of 9. Alright? And she will do that for damage. So 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 9 for the Ice Bolt power. And that is a sure hit of 15. And the Sword Thug's armor is 12. So... and this adds another experience token right here, and as she phenomenally slaughtered the foe. Now, because she did that, she could still walk. Alright? She can charge, she cannot charge, because a charge ends with a melee. Alright? And especially because she attacked, she can only move forward 1 step, or you could say walk. The villains take action. Crimson Carnage. Oh boy. Activate up to 4 red villains. If there are no red villains in play, activate 2 of the villains closest to the player to your right. Okay. Oh boy. 4 red villains. Activate. 1, 2, 3, 4. That shouldn't be a problem at all. And I think in theory this 3 and 1 here should activate. So we have this 4 and we're going to start with this one. So can't attack anybody, can't rush anybody. Let's see this last point right there, which says if the target hero is within 3 spaces, the villain walks toward the hero. If not, the villain charges to the target hero. So is he close to 3 spaces? 1, 2, 3. He is. Because look, 1, 2, 3. So he just walks. Alright? So he did his turn. Second one. Okay, from the Crimson Carnage. Red villain. So he's the next to activate. And he has a range of 2. So 1, 2. He's able to attack. Now, he's going to choose to attack. He's going to attack Gardic Stonebrow. It's a target he feels he can't miss because the guy is so huge. Alright? Don't forget Gardic has +1 defense. And because it's a shot, fog bank environment, all characters gain +1 defense. So Gardic has a total of 13 defense right now. He got the bonus of +2 from his Great Strength skill and also from the fog. So the crossbow thug with his accuracy of 4 will from there take an aim shot. Holds and attacks the target hero with an aimed range attack. So that means he will roll 3 dice. So pretty much 12 plus 3 is 15. You could say he pretty much, his bow struck Gardic. And now let's see if he damaged. His power is 8. Gardic's armor is 15. So 7 plus 8 is 15. 4 plus 3. 7 plus 8 is 15. It doesn't strike him. You need to have 16 greater than 15 to damage. So in this case, the sword thug only hit the armor but didn't pierce anything. And Gardic stands his ground with his armor 15. No damage in that case. Now, he just, how can I miss him? Alright, so now it's his turn. And he will do no different. He will also take an aim. And don't forget, the defense in total, again, of Gardic is 13. Alright? So he will take an aim shot also. From here, direct shot. Because he has range of 2. So 8 plus 6 is 14. You could say he pretty much struck. Let's see if that crossbow bolt struck Gardic. 3 plus 1 is 4. Plus 8 for the power. Not enough. Gardic stands his ground. Nothing occurs. And now for the final one, because he is within space, he can't attack anybody here, but he could rush for 2 spaces and do a melee. He will do again against Gardic. He just wants to bring down their leader because he sees how big. He can't miss the target he feels. Let's go for him. Alright, so he will rush in. And the first thing he does, when you rush again, it's very important that the damage roll for this first attack is boosted. So it's not the original attack, but the damage. So 6 plus 1 plus 4, 7 plus 4 is 11. Gardic's defense is 13. This attack doesn't go anywhere. So it seems like the foes are having a very hard time to strike. Now that the event is over and the dust has settled, the anger has risen. Okay? Now we're going to begin the next turn. Okay? And in this case, it's going to be Skargstern. Okay? And Skarg, the voracious, has seen all this drama occurring and decides with his fearsome bow, archery skill, pretty much to, and sniper, you can discard a feat card to making a ranged attack to target a character in the same space as a friendly. So, very important to know, when you have an enemy with a friendly, it's very hard to strike the enemy there because you might shoot at your ally. So in this case, he will use the feat sniper, which allows him to do that, to shoot there. Okay? And while then, he still holds the archery skill called Blur of Motion, or sorry, Precise Shot, which is roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage roll for this turn, and drop the lowest die. Okay? So, in this case, what he's going to do, because he's originally here, okay, he doesn't have to aim, he can move, okay, and now that he's here, he moves pretty much here, one space, he could pretty much just shoot out this enemy. He doesn't need to do the sniper attack. He came forth himself, and he's pretty much going to take care of this villain that's here. He's going to take a shot at him, and his attack, okay, so he's going to, accuracy is 5, 4 plus 4 is 8, okay, 8 plus the 5 accuracy, that gives it 13. Defense is 13. It's a hit. Alright, and yes, I did add the +1, so that means it hit. Now it's about a matter of damage. So, for the damage, it's going to roll again 2 dices. And don't forget, Skarg's power is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 8 is 14. This sword thug is down. His armor is only 12. He's goner. He will come here and add another XP to the pool. Now, very important, I did forget to roll to see where a villain will spawn, and in this case, not that it will make a difference, but 2, which is a sword thug, and 4 is this right here. All right, so now that we did that, okay, this villain is down. Pretty much Skarg has done his turn. Now it is the villain action. Crimson Carnage again. Activate up to 2 red villain closest to you. If they're not, okay, so there's 2. Oh boy. And those 2 will try to take action against Skarg. So let's see. Because they'll pretty much prioritize first the hero if they can reach, or otherwise any other enemy pretty much nearby. So they will try for the highest initiative, but really, but before that, if there's no target within sight, or there's equal size. Okay, so let's see Skarg. So up to 2 it says, red. So you know what? This 2 crossbow will try to take aim shot at pretty much at Skarg. So Skarg, don't forget, has a defense of 12. Okay, plus 1 because it's range, so 13. So boosted attack roll. So 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. Skarg's defense is 13. It's a miss because it's 12 originally, but plus 1, it's a miss. So again, 6, 7, 8. 8 plus the accuracy, which is 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. It's not enough. So it misses. Now the next one will do also an aim shot. And let's see what happens. So this one is 8, 9, 9 plus 4 is 13. And that is sufficient enough to hit Skarg. Let's see now if there's any damage. The armor is 14. So 3, it won't even bother calculating. 3. I'm really rolling bad for the enemies here. So pretty much 3 plus the 8 is not sufficient to beat armor 14. 8 plus 3 is 11. Armor is 14. Not struck. Nothing happens. I did do that. And now the Skarg has done his turn. The next one to pretty much activate his turn is our valiant Bastion Kinnet, the Morrowind Battle Chaplain. I just like saying it. It's just a cool name. And he will activate, and now he sees pretty much what is afoot and the issues that have risen. And before anything, before an action he can take, he first sees the presence of a villain, not too far from his standing. So 2, and the priority is red. 4 is pretty much here. Getting crowded there, buddies. All right. Now Bastion will take his action, and what he will do is he can charge into here, and that's the priority, to pretty much come here and to clear up this room, and let's make it done as soon as possible. Because don't forget, this event and this timer pretty much kind of says what is our situation, right? We have pretty much 6 more rounds of this. So let's see what we could do to kind of neutralize what's going on. So he's going to take a really situation here. He's going to charge forward. Okay, he's going to charge forward, and when you charge forward, you do a melee attack. Okay, but before that, before his turn, he goes friendly characters. He could do one of his prey, so that's what he's going to do. So Bastion Kinnet has just charged forward. He gets a boost to his attack roll. All right. Okay, so Bastion Kinnet has just charged. His attack damage, his damage is boosted. So in this case, but I'm using the Blade of Radiance skill prayers, and as I'm praying hard, you gain an additional die of mace attack and damage rolls. Drop the lowest die from each of your rolls, unless the target is undead, and it's not undead. So right now, he's pretty much going to roll 3. So he's going to do this one, 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. And right now, his defense is 12, and that's enough to hit it. Now we're going to roll for the damage. And in this case, again, like I said, it's Blade of Radiance, so you get an additional die also for the damage roll. But there's something to take note here also, is that because he's charged, his damage roll is also boosted, right? So he will roll instead 4 dice. So in this case, he will use this, and this is the lowest one of the dice you have to remove. So in this case, 9 plus 2 is 11. 11 plus 8 is 19. So again, 19 minus 12 is 7. Because he did 7 in his roll, which is 7 greater than the armor, okay, then for every, pretty much when it's 5 or more, you do 2 damage instead of 1. So when you roll, your roll is greater than 4, than the armor, which is in this case 5 or greater, then you do 2 damage instead of 1. And this is what occurred because he rolled 19. 19 minus 7 is, 19 minus 12 is 7. And in this case, it's a roll of 7 greater than the armor, which is 12. And in this case, he has only 1 vitality anyways, and he gets removed. Now, this will add 1 XP. The next thing is, before it goes on to the next character's turn or the villain takes their action, he has this feat card which says Cleave. Play this card to make 1 additional attack after one of your melee attacks incapacitates a villain. In this case, that's what occurred. So he will do an additional attack in this case and hopefully take this one out. All right, so let him, and in this sense, the Blade of Radiance is still in effect. You gain an additional a die on mace attack and damage rolls. Drop the lowest one. So let's see this. His charge no longer benefits him, but he still rolls 3 dices. So let's see what happens in this situation. So 6 plus 5, this gets removed. 6 plus 5 is 11. Okay, 11 plus the mace is 5. It's sufficient. 16 is greater than his defense of 12. He will, with his mace, bludgeon mace, try to slay this one. And 12, we'll remove the 5. We're rolling amazing for the heroes, and the villains are getting amazing too. I mean, it's just not their day. We're being super heroic here. So this is 12, and 12 plus the 8 power of the Bastion Kenneth Great Mace. You know, this is again, it's more than greater than 5 and greater. And he would have done 2 damage, but in this case, he only has 1 vitality, just kills him and removes him from the board. Well done. And in this case, just returns here. You get 1 extra XP for this slaughter. And at this point, he has completed his turn, valiantly so, and cleared the board. And now that he's there, he can't do much, but he's awed at what he sees and what has occurred here as he stands forth. And he's screaming at his comrades, saying, I see a body. Now, let's see forth what will occur, as Gardic is the next turn to come up. But before this, he can take his turn. The villains, with bold barrage, activate up to 2 crossbow thugs. If there are no crossbow thugs in play, activate the villain closest to you. Oh boy. So, is there 2 crossbow thugs? Yes. So they will activate. There's 2 right there, and I think they will take priority because they're the closest one. All right, and it doesn't say about the priority of who's close, but it only makes sense. This is not about making it easy for the heroes. You know, it's making it tough. So there's 1 here and 1 there, and they will activate right now and take action. And this is the first crossbow to take action, and he will take an aim shot at Bastion. So. An aim shot, again, it pretty much is a boosted attack roll. So 6 plus 6, oh, we're going here. Good. This is 12. Don't forget it's a range attack. 12 plus the accuracy, that's a 4. That's 16. Bastion's defense is only 12, right? And plus the one armor, plus the one defense right there is only gives it 13, and that's not enough to defend against this. So now they will get the chance to pretty much damage Bastion. So 4 plus 3 is 7. The power is 8. 7 plus 8 is 15. Bastion's armor is 15. It's not enough. It's not enough. For you need to roll greater than 15 to strike, and Bastion holds his armor strong enough. He does feel that shot coming, but he stood tall. Now, the next crossbow thug is about to shoot off and unleash another aimed shot at Bastion. Let's see how that one goes. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7, 8, and more importantly, plus the 4 accuracy. 8 plus 4 is 12. But there's the plus 1 defense of Bastion has, which gives him 13. It's not enough. That archer just couldn't, that crossbow thug just couldn't strike it, and Bastion holds his fort. Now it is Gardick's turn. Okay, the first thing that Gardick does as he looks around and sees what's going on, he will first take a breather as he sees and analyzes the board. 3-3. So we will reveal, in this case, a sword thug right here. Now that we did that, Gardick will decide what to do. Now that it's his turn, we'll decide to charge forward. He can charge here, or he can charge over there, and I think he will decide to charge over there, just to hold the fort against the villains that are about to come and storm, to give a clear path for the next hero to pretty much come here and search what is really occurring. So he's going to attack any one of this, but he's going to choose the sword thug to take down the sword thug. And because he charged, he's going to still create great strength. He's still going to keep steady for the plus 1 defense. So he's not going to change that. But what he's going to do for the first damage rolls, because he charged, the charge allows you to have a damage boost. Okay, for the first melee attack. Okay. So now what he's going to do is he's going to roll and see if he strikes that sword thug. So 6 plus 6 is 12, and that's enough because the sword thug's defense is 12. Now the next thing is he's going to, his attack is going, damage is going to be boosted. $11, $12, and this one is done because plus the 9 from the axe, and don't forget he has a shield to attack with. Okay. All right, but it's not like pretty much he overkilled this one and removed. All right, this adds another XP to the board, and before it goes on to the villain action who are about to ambush and respond, I'm going to play this feat card, which says backswing. Play this card during your turn to make an attack with one of your weapons. So he's just going to attack this one now, just to pretty much clear the board, as they say, and do a sweep for chapter 1. So he's going to attack this one, and you do not, it's not boosted, this attack. But to ensure that this is a success, I'm going to use this to boost. Play this card to boost one of your rolls. So I'm just going to boost this one to ensure that it pretty much strikes and hits the spot. So only for the attack and not the damage, because the power of the axe is 9. The accuracy is 6. I just want an insurance policy, as they say. So this is 11. 11 plus the 6 is well sufficient because his defense is only 12. Now that we did that, we can roll this, and his armor is 12. So this is 6. 6 plus 9 is 15. That's well enough to take him out in this attack. And we just add another one to the pile. And that just makes more and more XP. They're valiantly learning what is going on. And he stands his ground and looking at them and saying, "Come on! Come on!" Awesomeness for his turn. And it will be the villain action now, and we will see what the villains do in their turn. Don't forget, you take one new feat card at the end of your turn. He did use 2 in this turn, which is fine. You can use all 3 that you have. Let's not forget. So, before his turn ends, let's see what the villains will do. Bolt Barrage. Activate up to 4 crossbow thugs close to you. If there are no crossbow thugs in play, activate the 2 villains farthest from you. Well, he will activate the 4 crossbow thugs if he could. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, and they will all activate. So let's go one by one. We will start with this 2 right here, the 2 blue ones. They see him and they're going to take an aim shot. And again, an aim shot, okay, only boosts the attack roll. Okay, so let's see. Crossbow number 1. Let's not forget, it's a ranged attack. The environment gives a defense +1. So, and this is Gardic, and Gardic has so far 13 defense. No, sorry. Yeah, 13 defense. So, well, 2, 3, 4. So, 4 plus 4 is 8. Nowhere close. Next crossbow thug looking and firing at the same time. 5, 6, 7. 7 plus 4 is just 11. It's not enough. They both miss. And now these crossbow thugs are also going to come in. But this time they can't take aim shots because this is pretty much an obstruction and everybody's pretty much far from their own distance. Now what they're going to do instead is they're going to walk and target the hero and attack with each of their ranged weapons. So they're both going to move in and they're going to take a shot at Skarg. And Skarg's defense is 12. Okay? Alright. So let's see. And they don't have. So roll number 1. So 6, 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. And Skarg's defense is 13 because he gets the +1 from that. It's not enough. The next one rolls. 4, 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 again is not enough because he has 13 defense thanks to that. So it's a miss in all cases. But they valiantly tried to hit the target. Now the round ends again. And let's see what's afoot that's occurring here in the Undercity tunnels. Devil Rat Swarms. Every character in a space with no other figures makes a hazard roll. Now, the way a hazard roll works. So, hazard rolls are pretty much you roll a die and every character that rolls a 5 or 6 takes 1 damage. So, every character in a space with no other figures makes a hazard roll. Alright. So we'll go with Gardic first. He takes 1 damage. Freaking rats. Now, Bastion. We got an infestation here, boys. Alright, Skarg. 5. Okay, and Lenisa, 6. And now they're bunched up, so luckily for them, they didn't take any damage, and the only damage that ever occurred to their heroes are swarms of rats. Devil rats, I should more say. Now that the event has taken place, it's Lenisa's turn, and what she will do is, again, she will charge forward, okay? And don't forget, when you charge, you move 1 or 2 spaces. And she'll just charge here and stop right there, because pretty much she can't search right now, but she can search on the next turn. Now, the next thing is, she forgot to spawn and notice where the enemies are coming from. 3 and 1. So 3 and 1. Okay. And let's see what action will occur. Crossing swords. Activate up to 4 sword thugs. Alright. If there wasn't, well, I'll be surprised. So up to 4 sword thugs. So what we're going to do is, there's 3 right here, and they will activate, and 1 from here. So the first one to activate will charge forward. Well, he will charge right into here, and he will charge right into here, trying to take Gardic down. So we'll roll first for this one, and don't forget, alright, this is a rushed attack. It shouldn't be called a charge, but it's a rushed attack that they do. And for a rush attack, the damage roll for the first attack is boosted. So let's see if they can strike. 7 plus 4 for their accuracy is 11. And Gardic's defense is 12. It's not enough. And the next one rolls valiantly. 10. 10 plus 4 is well enough. And that pretty much hits Gardic. And let's see if any damage has occurred. But don't forget the damage roll is boosted. 2, 3, 4. How great I roll for the villain. The villains are just clumsy and clumsy and clumsy. Who are their ambition? 2, 3, 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. And let's not forget, his armor is 15. Nothing occurs in this case from both of them. Alright? And now that that has occurred, we're going to have those two. Oh, there's a third one right there because it was up to 4. So he will rush in after this all occurred, and he will also pretty much try to see if he can strike. 6 plus 3. Alright? So let's have 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. And Gardic's defense is 12. So now let's see if there's any damage, and it's boosted. So 6 plus 2 is 8. 8, 9, 10. 10 plus 8. 10 plus 8 is 18. And Gardic's armor is 15. And he has something called Vengeance. Play this card to make 1 attack against a villain that hits you with a melee attack after that attack is resolved. So he pretty much hit. He did the attack. Okay, and his attack is resolved. And pretty much he did the 1 damage. So Gardic will take a damage. Okay. And now he will have his vengeance against that foe. So let's see what happens. Gardic will roll. 9. His accuracy is 6. 9 plus 6 is 15. And the sword thug's defense is 12. Now let's see for damage. 6. 6 plus 9 is 15. The armor is 12. It's good enough to kill him off and bring him back to his family pack. A good XP and one less enemy and foe to discard. Now because I use that feat doesn't mean I get another feat. That's very, very important to notice. Alright? So he pretty much responded. He reacted to 3 of those foes came, and there's one more, and one more will react from here. So he will rush in and charge Scald. Alright, and as he charges Scald, he will roll 6. 6 plus 4 for his accuracy is 10. Not enough, as Scald defense is much higher. Nothing occurs in this case scenario. Alright, and now that that has taken place, it is Skargstern. Before Skald could take his action, another sword thug has appeared, and amazingly so, not far from Gardic. They just keep calling this, I think they're the swarming rats. And what will Skald do in this case? He's wondering, do I get rid of this one? Okay, if he decides to move, he has to take a hazard roll. Okay, so in this case, I don't think he wants to go and move and take a hazard roll. So what he's going to do, he's going to try to pretty much attack. Now he could use his dagger, his bow spikes, to do a melee attack and pretty much attack this, or do a range attack, which is also fine. And you know what? In this case, his accuracy is better with his bow spikes. We'll use the bow spikes, and more importantly, so archery skill. So you know what? He's going to attack with his thorn bow. He's going to do the precise shot, roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage roll, and drop the lows. So he will go against him. So this is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. And his defense is going to be 13 because of the fog. It's good enough. It hits him. Now, let's see if he does any damage. Okay, so we got 9. Okay, and don't forget, his precise shot says roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage roll this turn, and drop the lowest die. So in this case, it's 9. Remove the 2. So 9 plus 8 is 17. It's good enough to remove this. Okay, and this will return. And at this point, there's another XP here. Now because he did his attack, you could always, unless it was a charge, which he didn't charge anywhere, he just did an attack. He can move somewhere wherever he wants, and he will move, in this case, right here. All right? And now that he ended his turn, the villains take action. Our favorites. And what happens now? In this case, crossing swords. Activate up to 2 sword thugs closest to you. That won't be a problem. There's so many. So this 2 will activate based on this. Activate the 2 sword thugs closest to you, and they will attack Skald. Alright? and they will do a melee attack. The villain holds and attacks the target hero in the space with each of their melee weapons. So there's no bonus to their attack. They'll use their swords and they'll try to attack Gardic. So 6 plus 4 is 10. Nothing occurs because they didn't even hit this trollkin. The next one rolls. It's an 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. And it's still not an... Oh, actually they did hit. Because the defense is 12. Okay. So, now that they struck him, 12. Now they're going to roll for the damage. 6 plus 8. Okay. Is 14. Gardic's armor is 15. No damage. So nothing happens. Scald. Turn end. And now it's the amazing Bastion. Bastion, with seeing his fellow Gardic and Skarg holding down the fort as he has a chance in his holy might to check what it is exactly that occurred here as he sees a corpse. He searches the corpse. And now, the next thing will happen. Your goal was the party must reach the rendezvous location and search the body of the dead agent, who happens to be dead, and they killed him. Now, probably he knew too much, and to defeat the leader, the ambushing gang. So, now there's something occurring. When a hero is in the same space as the dead body marker, and there are no villains in the space, there's none, because Skarg held the fort here, he can use the action to search the body for evidence. If he does, remove the marker. He did search. Body removed. I don't know what he did with it. I won't even ask Bastion. I don't want to know. After the hero has searched the body, the leader of the ambushing gangs arrives. Roll a die. Alright. 4. We rolled a 4. So, on a roll of 4 to 6, spawn the epic Rulik Merce as the boss. Okay. Nope. It's this one. Okay. So he has pretty much spawned, and they say epic. Okay. So as you can see, on a roll of 4 to 6, spawn the epic Rulik Merc as the boss. Spawn the boss in the exit space along with 2 sword thugs and 2 crossbow thugs. Now, when they say spawn the boss in the exit space is right here, all right, along with 2 sword thugs and 2 crossbow thugs. Oh boy. So let's do that. Well, it's blue priority, so you take the blue one, and you have no choice but to take the 2 red ones. So let's, for our discovery, see what's so amazing about this epic boss. All right, his vitality is 3, so that means he has 3 HP, unlike the 1 HP for this villains. His strength is 4, his defense is 12, and his armor is 14. Okay, so it's a little tougher to hit. I mean damage. Now, he has also an axe he can attack you with, or a pistol. So whichever is to the convenient. Now, the commander. So he has an ability also. Thugs within 1 space of this character gain +1 on attack and damage rolls. Alright. So, its priority we'll discuss once it is his turn. Alright. Now that we know the significant character has appeared, who is kind of a mini boss, he only activates right now if one of the villain action cards specifically calls upon a color villain, not by title, meaning a sword thug or a crossbow thug. If he says all red villains move, that's the only time he will move. Alright, aside from that, he doesn't move. So he will stand there and villainously look at us, but we must obliterate him and end him so we can end this chapter and make sure to return to the City Watch and inform Hellstrom, Commander Hellstrom, of what has occurred down here in the Undercity tunnels. Alright, so Bastion has just observed what has occurred to the body, and the body somehow vanished. So right now the next thing is the villain action. Let's see what occurs. Boss Blitz. Activate the boss villains. Well, if there is no boss in play, activate the 2 villains farthest from you. So there is one boss villain, which is this one. So I talked a little bit too soon, and he will activate. And now, if you look at his action card, it's a little different from others. Okay, so first let's give him his 3 HP that he will start with, and more importantly, let's first check what his tactics, villain tactics are from left to right. So first melee attack, which is not possible to do anything here, but the next one is this one. So this one is set shot or rush. So if the color priority for the round is red, okay, and it's not, it's blue, Devil Rat Swarm, alright, the villain follows the set shot tactic, alright. If the color priority is blue, the villain follows the rush tactic. So, and the rush tactic is pretty much he moves up to here. The villain moves up to 2 spaces and ends his movement in a target hero space. After moving, the villain attacks the hero with each of his melee weapons. The damage roll of the first attack is boosted. Alright? Then, if that's not possible, alright, then he can do a range attack, okay? And a range attack pretty much is up to 2, 1, 2, and he's not able to reach anyone. The last but not least is pursue. If the target hero is within 3 spaces, yes it is, the villain walks toward the hero. If not, the villain charges toward the target hero. So in this case, the rush is only if you're pretty much going to be able to finish it off with an attack, and it's not so. He is within 3 spaces, he will move forward, and that will end that. In this case, this big boss has not appeared, so let's remove it from confusion and bring this forward right here, and this is the 3 life. Our objective has changed now, and it is to terminate this boss. So moving on, Bastion has just ended his turn, and it is now Gardic Stonebrow's turn. So let's see what Gardic will do. Is he should charge forward here and try to get as close as he can to this boss, because the priority is to eliminate this boss and nothing else. Because once you take down the boss, you know, once you take the leader, you know how the troops are. They get all shaky and wary and run away. So he's going to take a hazard roll, but if he takes a hazard, he has to take a hazard roll for each one of this 2. So which is kind of dangerous. So, what to do. Okay. He's going to take the chance. He's going to take the hazard roll for both of them. He's going to try to charge out of there. 6, what do you know? He takes 1 damage. And he takes another damage. Whew, that's not good at all. Leaves him with 4 HP. Alright. Okay, once per round during your turn, you can discard a feat card to heal up to 2 wounded tokens, and he's gonna pretty much discard this 1 feat, and he's gonna heal up to 2 on his turn. Okay, because it's much needed in my opinion. And he will do that charge that he wanted to, or he could do it this way, it doesn't matter, but he will charge this way, right straight forward for the boss. Now that he did that, he ends his turn, and the villains will take action. Oh, wow, okay. The boss blitz. Activate the boss. If no boss, okay, so but the boss will activate. So that's kind of odd. Well, that was shuffled well. All right, so now that the boss has taken, it's up to him to take the action. What he will do is first he's attack, and there's nobody he can attack. Then he's going to do, again, he's going to have the set shot or rush. So if the color priority for the round is red, and it is not, all right, then instead what he will do is rush, all right? And the rush tactic, it says he moves up to 2 spaces and pretty much does a melee damage with each weapon that it has. A melee weapon it has. The damage roll for the first attack is boosted. All right, so he charges, attack with the axe. So let's see what happens. And don't forget, thugs within 1 space of this character gain +1 to their attack and damage. So his axe has an accuracy of 6. So 5, 6, 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. Gardick's defense is 12. It is a hit. Now for the damage roll, which is boosted. So that's 9. That's 10. 10. Where is he? 10. Ooh, power of 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. Okay, so that's like 15 right there. And armor, that's a hit. All right, so whew, that's 25 in armor. So it's more than 4. So he takes 2 damage. Okay. That's very, very hurtful. All right. So now that that ends pretty much that turn, now a new round begins. Okay, now a new round has begun. Another event is in our midst. We're being swarmed. The boss is taking action. Lucky thugs. All thugs gain an additional die on attack rolls. Oh boy. Drop the lowest die in each roll. Okay. Ain't that fun. All thugs. So pretty much either one, the crossbow thugs or the sword thugs, will pretty much get an extra die on their attack rolls. Not damage rolls, attack rolls. So let's remove this. And now it is Lenisa's turn. She's first going to reveal where is our first enemy for this round will appear, and that is this sword thug, and it's the red one, and he's going to appear at doorstep 1. Okay. Oof, this is getting tight. Now it's Lenisa's turn. She's there. Okay, she's going to reveal this card, and let's see what it is. Search. Attempt a procession. So you see a few coins in a crack between some cobbles and move to take a closer look. Attempt a perception 12 challenge. If you fail, roll a die and add that number of XP to your treasure. If you succeed, roll 2 dice 6. Whew. Perception of 12. Let's do that test. Her perception is, by the way, 5. So 6, 7, 8. 8 plus 5, you pass. Right? So perception of 12 challenge was passed. Now, if you succeed, roll 2 dice 6 and add that number of XP to your treasure. Oh boy, oh boy. Double 6, snake eyes. Oh, 4. All right. So I'm going to add 5 and remove 1. And that pretty much resolves that. Great. Now that you did an accent search, walk yourself back. And let's see what this activation is. Da-da-da. Aggressive advance. Activate the villain farthest from you. Reshuffle the villain action deck. Alright. After discarding this card. Okay. So, the villain farthest from her is pretty much here. Any one of them will do. And you know what? I'm going to activate him. And he will pretty much come and rush in. And he will, because he rushed in, he will roll up. Let's see. So 6, 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. Skarg's defense. Skarg's defense is 12. It's not good enough, so nothing happens there. Alright. Now, Lanisa did her turn. It moves on to Skarg. And now Skarg can pretty much, instead of wasting his time, he's going to take a shot of this boss. And this was supposed to have been shuffled, everything, and then we'll see what happens. Skarg has just spawned his nemesis, his villain, but we forgot to shuffle the villain deck priorly as it was supposed to be done. So let's shuffle it quickly before Skarg decides on what he's going to do on his turn, which is pretty much he will take aim at this Rulik Merc mini boss, which is pretty much being held down by the Trollkin Gardex Stonebrow, mightily so. Now, because there's also a sword thug in the presence of Skarg, he cannot aim his shots. So he's going to use his archery skills, and he has an option. If you hold this turn, your range attacks are not aimed. You can use your action to make 2 range attacks. And I think that's what he's going to do. Or he can always do a precise shot, roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage rolled this turn. If his feat cards can help him in any ways, play this card, an additional archery skill on this turn. You know what? And that's what he's going to do. So he's going to use precise shot, which allows him to roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage rolled this turn. Okay? So that's what he's going to do. And he's first roll on an additional first attack. Then he's going to use this ability, Keen-Eyed. Play this card when you make a range attack to, no, not this one, sorry for that. He's going to use, Shootist. He will play this card to use 1 additional archery skill effect this turn. So he's going to use precise shot, which is roll an additional die on your first range attack and damage roll this turn. Drop the lowest die. He will use also the blur of motion action because Shootist allows him to do that. And if you hold this turn, your range attacks are not aimed, and you can use your action to make 2 range attacks. So I'm going to use my action to do 2 range attacks with precise shot. My roll an additional die on your first attack. So that's what we're going to do. So he uses this card, which pretty much allows him to do that. So he's going to do 2 attacks, and on his first one, don't forget, the Epic Rulik Merc has a defense of 12. Ooh, this is just terrible. This is 3, 4, 5, right? That's got to be the worst of the worst rolls. So that wouldn't be, unless I have a reroll. And boost. No, I don't. So that's the first attack. And our first attack, you pretty much roll an additional die and you drop 1 of them. And pretty much it's unsuccessful. Let's see On the second attack, I'm going to play this card to boost one of your rolls, and I'm going to boost again for the second attack. 6, 10, 14, and that pretty much guarantees that we hit the boss. Okay? Now it's about, I'm going to boost again. I'm pretty much using all the cards I could. Alright? You could hit the range attack. The target is knocked down. So I'm not going to use the crippling shot. Instead, I'm going to boost to do damage because that's more important. So 6, 5, that's 11, right? 11 plus 3 is 14. 14 plus 8 for Thrar's power. So 14 plus 8 is 22 at this point. So 22 in damage. His armor, okay, his armor is 14. That's more than 4 damage. He will take 2 damage from this attack. That was a fabulous shot. Even though distracted by the sword thug, he managed to take that shot. Now, it did take some impossible, incredible feats, but this pretty much annuls all his feats, and he does get a new one at the end of his turn. So, and this is not really end of his turn, so I shouldn't take a new feat right now. And now that he ended his turn, the villain take action. Oof, the boss. Activate the boss. What a way to start. You shuffled great. Now, because of that, alright, so the villain is this one, and he will activate. And he will pretty much attack Gardic, because Gardic's in his way. And he will do melee attack, because that's the first option he has. So he'll just do an ordinary melee attack. So 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 6 for the accuracy of the axe that he's wielding. Well, Gardic's axe is way bigger. But anyways, 15. That's 15. It's more than enough for the defense of 12 of Gardic has. Does he have anything? Nope. Nothing that will save him in any way. So in this case, he hit him. That axe about to pierce one of the armors as they fight it off. And let's see what happens. 7. 7 plus 10 is 17. And because the power of his axe is much mightier than Gardic's, who is 9 power. And 10 by 1. And that's pretty much 16. 16 is sufficient because Gardic's armor is 15. Alright? So he hits him just ever so lightly, you know, and Gardic will take 1 damage, bringing him down to 3 HP of vitality, 3 vitality. This is not so good. And that pretty much ends Skarg's turn. Great. Now that occurred, the next don't forget there is here an event that all thugs gain an additional die when they do attack rolls, but in this case no thug has come. It was the villain, which is different. Alright, so now it's Bastion's turn, and Bastion, well, pretty much what he's going to do is to avoid them, and he's going to do a really odd blitz, which he could because there's nothing in his way that's blocking him from passing them through, coming here and charging here in a very odd diagonal way, which does not say that you cannot do that. Okay, so what he's going to do, what Bastion is going to do on his turn, he's first going to see what spawns in his presence. And it's a 2, 3, and pretty much it's another sword dog. So let's see if Bastion can pretty much, as he runs and charges through, and with assisting Gardic, let's see if he's able to do anything. He will use his Blade of Radiance, which means you gain an additional die on mace attack and damage rolls. Drop the lowest dice for each. Okay. Alright, so let's see. And his mace has an accuracy of 5. Alright. So this is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. And his defense is 12. It's a hit. Now let's do for the damage. It's 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 8 is 10. It's way sufficient. And the Rulik Merc dies horribly. And when it is a victory. So the chapter ends, and the party loses if every hero is either incapacitated and passed out. The party wins if the boss is incapacitated. Add 1 XP to the treasury for each battle ready hero, and that's 4 battle ready hero. So that will be another 5 XP and 5 XP, and I'm gonna pay up 1 XP. Sorry, this way. All right. So that ends that. Now that the heroes have valiantly won, the XP evenly gets split amongst the group. So we're gonna get 5. We're gonna get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. And and 3 here. Four, 5. Okay, so it gets evenly split. But you get a bonus 2 XP Gardic, because it must match. So stick around as the heroes head back to see the City Watch Commander Hellstrom and inform him of what occurred under the Undercity tunnels, and more especially to soon find out what will the heroes do with the gained experience that they've learned within this Undercity tunnels as they move forward to the next chapter. Stick around and let's venture forward into chapter 2. Bastion's mace comes down on the gang's boss with a sickening crunch, splattering blood across the stones. The glory displays enough to send the rest of the thugs running for their lives. Hell and blood, Gardic curses as he kicks the corpse of the man he just cut down with his axe. Is he dead, Lanisa? Skarg asks, pointing at the body of the Watch's agent near her. The Ice Sorcerer glances at the corpse. Well, all his brains are on the outside of his skull, so... Check his body, Gardic says. Maybe he had the information he was going to give Hellstrom written down. Lanisa puts the claymore at her back and bends down over the corpse. After going through the dead man's clothes, she stands up and says, Nothing. Now what? Skarg asks. Back to Hellstrom, Gardic says. We'll need to tell him what's happened to his man.